My revenge didn't play out in a quiet courtroom. It unfolded live, on a massive screen, in front of 500 of the city's most powerful investors and CEOs. Liam and Chloe were the epitome of a successful couple in Austin, Texas. We had been together for 8 years, married for 5, and had built a life that many would envy. I was a senior software engineer at a major tech firm, a logical and methodical person. Chloe, in contrast, was a whirlwind of energy. She was an event manager for a prestigious marketing firm, specializing in glamorous product launches and parties for the tech and investment elite. It was this opposition that had once drawn us together. I was the anchor, she was the sail. Our lives revolved around one major goal: buying a house in the hills, an area with beautiful homes and excellent schools. We had a joint savings account named Dream Home, and every month, a significant portion of both our incomes went into it. The figure had climbed to nearly $80,000. It wasn't just money. It was my late nights at work, Chloe's weekends spent running around at events. It was our future, measured in digits. But then, our harmonious symphony began to feature dissonant notes. It started subtly. Chloe had always been an extrovert, but recently, her social media had become strangely clean. No more photos of the two of us, no more casual posts about our life together. Instead, there were check-ins at fancy restaurants, rooftop bars she claimed were for client meetings. Her phone, once casually tossed around the house, was now an extension of her hand. The screen was always face down on the table, and she had enabled Face ID, which she'd previously found annoying. Late-night calls became more frequent. She would rush out to the balcony, her voice a whisper, so low it was lost in the wind. When I asked, the answer was always work. You know how it is, Liam. Clients in different time zones. They're all demanding investors. And I believed her. I wanted to believe her. Because doubting your partner is like admitting the castle you've built might be on sand. The most telling change was in the bedroom. Our intimacy dwindled, then ceased altogether. She would come home very late, smelling of unfamiliar perfume and expensive wine, and head straight for the shower. When she got into bed, she would turn her back to me, claiming exhaustion, and fall asleep. I would lie there, staring at the back of the woman I once knew better than myself, and feel a cold, alienating distance. The first real shock came from a fitness app. Chloe and I both used it to compete on who got more steps in a day. It was our harmless little habit. One Thursday evening, Chloe said she had to stay late at the office to prepare for a big weekend event. She'd be home after 10 p.m. Around 9 p.m., I opened the app out of curiosity. Her phone's GPS showed her location at a completely different place. Not her downtown office building, but the Grand Valencia, one of Austin's most luxurious and expensive boutique hotels. My heart skipped a beat. Why was she there? I tried to calm myself. Maybe she was meeting a client there. It was a plausible explanation, but a doubtful voice in my head grew louder. She came home close to midnight, looking tired but with an unusual flush on her cheeks. I asked casually, "How was work at the office?" She didn't meet my eyes, replying as she took off her shoes. "Same old, exhausting. I just want to sleep." She had lied, a bald-faced lie. From that night on, I became a detective in my own home. My software engineer's logic took over. I needed data, irrefutable proof. The opportunity came one Sunday morning. Chloe said she was meeting a friend for yoga and left in a hurry, leaving her MacBook on the dining table. She was rarely so careless. I knew her password, something she never thought I'd use. I opened it, my hands shaking slightly. I went to the browser, and the search history appeared. Romantic getaways for couples in Napa Valley. Men's Rolex watch price. How to explain credit card transactions. My stomach churned, but the smoking gun was elsewhere. I knew Chloe used a cloud storage service for her work files and photos. I logged into her account. Among the clearly labeled work folders, there was one named Project M. Curious, I clicked it. Inside was a world I didn't belong to. Hundreds of photos of Chloe and an unknown man. They were laughing in a Napa vineyard, embracing on a yacht on Lake Travis, clinking glasses in restaurants I'd only seen in magazines. The man looked confident, dressed in expensive designer clothes. In one photo, a gleaming Rolex was on his wrist. But what truly broke me was a Google Docs file named Future Plan. I opened it. It was a detailed plan for a new life. A life for Chloe and this man, Marcus. They were planning to move to California after Marcus closes his new funding round. And the most painful part, under the finance section, a line read, "Use what $40K from joint account as initial capital." That figure was half of our dream home account. They weren't just cheating on me. They were planning to steal my future. I sat there, stunned. The pain quickly gave way to a cold, crystalline anger, a terrifyingly clear resolve. I didn't just want to end this marriage. I wanted them to pay for every lie, for every dollar they planned to steal. I screenshotted everything. The photos, the plan, the search history. I saved them to an encrypted USB drive. Then I cleared my login history and placed the MacBook exactly where I found it. The game had changed. I now held all the cards. I spent the next 2 days planning. I was no longer the pitiful, betrayed husband. I was an architect of destruction. I contacted one of the best divorce lawyers in Austin, a sharp, no-nonsense woman named Brenda. In our first meeting, I placed the USB drive on her desk and said, "This is everything you need." Brenda reviewed the files. Her professional expression didn't change, but her eyes lit up with interest. "Son, this isn't just evidence of an affair. This is evidence of a conspiracy to commit marital fraud. We can destroy her." Brenda's first step was to immediately file a motion to freeze our joint savings account. She explained this would stop Chloe's plan in its tracks. Second, she hired a forensic accountant to scour all our finances. That evening, I returned home. Chloe had just gotten back, humming a cheerful tune. She had no idea the storm was about to hit. "We need to talk," I said, my voice so calm it surprised me. We sat at the dining table, the same place where I had discovered her betrayal. I didn't shout, didn't accuse. I simply turned my phone screen towards her, displaying one of the photos of her and Marcus in Napa. Chloe's expression changed in a flash, from cheerful to confused, then to sheer panic. She stammered, "What? What is this? Where did you get this?" "I don't think that's the important question right now," I replied. "The important question is, how is Project M going? Did Marcus's funding round close yet?" She completely fell apart. Tears streamed down her face, a torrent of jumbled apologies and explanations pouring out. "It was a mistake. You were too focused on work. I was lonely. Marcus meant nothing." The empty platitudes every cheater uses. I held up a hand, cutting her off. "Save your tears, Chloe. I don't care about the reasons. I only care about the facts. You cheated on me and planned to take our money. It's over." I stood up. "I've filed for divorce. My lawyer will be in contact. You have 1 hour to pack your personal belongings and get out. Anything left will be boxed up and sent to a storage unit. The panic in her eyes turned to anger. You can't do this. This is my home too. Not anymore, I said coldly. This apartment was in my name before we married, and you forfeited any right to it when you decided to build a different future with my money. She left in a storm of tears and curses, calling me cruel and heartless. I felt nothing. The love I had for her had died on that table, in front of that MacBook screen. A few days later, Brenda called me. We found it, Liam. Our accountant found it. Chloe opened a separate bank account 6 months ago. She's been funneling small amounts from her paychecks into it, totaling nearly $20,000. She failed to disclose this account in the initial financial declarations. This is perjury. $20,000. A slush fund for her new life. My anger flared again, but this time it came with an idea, a bold and cruel idea. I knew my revenge wouldn't just be in a courtroom. It had to be on Chloe and Marcus's biggest stage. The event Chloe was preparing for was the Austin Tech Summit, the biggest tech conference of the year. And the keynote speaker, the one giving the crucial investment pitch, was none other than Marcus. He was seeking $15 million for his startup's Series B funding round, Future Vibe. It was the perfect stage. My plan was complex and required absolute precision. As a software engineer, I understood network and presentation systems. I knew that at large events like this, the systems were often managed by external tech crews and often had basic security vulnerabilities. I spent the next week on reconnaissance. I visited the event venue, a modern convention center, as a potential client. I mapped out their Wi-Fi network, the type of projectors they used, and the presentation software the tech crew favored. Then, I went to work. I created a small piece of code, a Trojan horse. It was disguised as a driver update for the presentation software. Using a bit of social engineering, I emailed the tech company in charge, posing as technical support from the software manufacturer, warning of a critical security flaw and attaching my patch. As I predicted, they downloaded and installed it without a second thought. My Trojan horse was inside the gates. It would lie dormant until it received an activation command from my phone. When activated, it would do one simple thing. For 5 seconds, it would replace whatever presentation file was being displayed with a video file I had prepared. The video was exactly 5 seconds long, a rapid slideshow of the 10 best photos of Chloe and Marcus, them kissing in Napa, Marcus's hand on Chloe's waist on the yacht, and the final, clearest image, a screenshot of their future plan with the line about stealing $40,000 circled in red. The day of the summit arrived. I wore a sharp suit and blended into the crowd of nearly 500 investors, CEOs, and Austin's most influential figures. I saw Chloe running around backstage, looking stressed but proud. She was in her element. Marcus took the stage. He looked polished, charismatic. He began his speech, talking about the future of technology, about Future Vibe's world-changing potential. The large screen behind him displayed the company logo. He reached the most critical part. And now, I want to show you the numbers, the projections that will prove that Future Vibe is not just an idea, but an unmissable investment. He signaled the technician. The screen went black for a moment, preparing to display the financial charts. That was my cue. In my pocket, I pressed the Activate button on the app I had written. For a moment, that seemed to stretch into eternity. Instead of charts and figures, the giant screen behind Marcus lit up with my slideshow. 10 photos flashed by in 5 seconds. The entire auditorium was silent for the first half-second of confusion. Then a murmur began to ripple through the crowd. Everyone saw it. They saw Marcus with a woman who was not his wife. Marcus was married. They saw the shady financial plan. The 5 seconds ended. The screen switched back to Marcus's financial charts. But it was too late. Marcus's confident face had become a mask of horror and confusion. He stammered, trying to continue, but no one was listening anymore. People were looking at him, at Chloe, who stood frozen in the wings and whispering to each other. Phones were out. Texts were being sent. Marcus's reputation evaporated on that stage. His funding round was dead before it even began. I quietly turned and walked out of the auditorium, never looking back. The symphony had reached its crescendo. The fallout from that evening was more devastating than I could have imagined. News of the technical glitch at the tech summit spread like wildfire through Austin's tech community. Investors pulled out en masse. Marcus's company lost all credibility. A few weeks later, I heard he had to lay off half his staff and was facing an investigation from his board. His own wife had filed for divorce. Chloe was fired the next day. Her company couldn't afford to keep an employee who had caused such a public scandal. Our divorce hearing was a mere formality after that. Brenda presented all the evidence: the secret $20,000 bank account, the plan to defraud me of marital assets, and Chloe's perjury. Chloe's lawyer tried to argue that she was having a mental health crisis and needed financial support. The judge, an older, stern woman, was not impressed. The final judgment was an absolute victory for me. Due to Chloe's systematic dishonesty and fraud, the court divided the assets as follows: the Dream Home account, $80,000. I received 90%, which was $72,000. Chloe received only 10%. Chloe's secret account, $20,000. It was deemed hidden marital property, and I was awarded 100% of it as compensation. Chloe received 0 alimony. She was ordered to pay all legal fees for both sides. Chloe walked out of the courthouse, no longer the glamorous, confident woman I once knew. She looked haggard and defeated. In total, after all the fees, she was left with less than $8,000 to restart her life. A few weeks later, she sent me a long email, a tirade about how I had ruined her life, how I was a cold-blooded monster. She begged me for some money to get by. I replied with a single sentence: "Ask Marcus." Then I blocked her email and forwarded it to my lawyer. I didn't buy a flashy car. Instead, I used the money I won back and some of my own savings to fulfill our broken dream. I bought a small, cozy house in the suburbs, just for me. My life is quiet now. No more glamorous parties, no more dissonant notes. Sometimes, in the evenings, I sit in my backyard, look up at the Texas sky, and feel a strange sense of peace. I had walked through the storm and survived. The symphony of betrayal was over, and in the silence that followed, I finally found my own melody again.